Okay, let's call the meeting to order. I want to do roll call, Mike?
Sure. Councilor Paulson.
Here.
Councilor Moore.
Here.
Councilor Platt.
Here.
President Fender.
Here.
Is Mr. Ocholi yet? Councilor Ocholi in? Not yet.
Yeah.
And Mayor Gibson.
Here.
All right.
Okay, thank you, Mike. And it looks like we have a need to approve minutes from June 5th, 2020.
I move to approve the meeting minutes from June 5th, 2020.
Second.
All in favor say aye. You can just raise your hand if you agree. You guys got it?
Who am I missing? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, gotcha. Yep.
Okay. All right, thank you. We don't have any special presentation for number 4, so we'll move on to open forum. We welcome public comment at this time. The council will be happy to receive your comments pertaining to items on the agenda, including questions, suggestions, complaints, and items for the future. Each person's time will be limited to 3 minutes. Do we have anyone?
I'm going to unmute everyone. Whoever. Hold on. Maybe. If anybody has anything to comment on, go ahead and use your reactions down there on the bottom of your screen. Just do a hand so I can get your attention.
Or you can, raise your hand and we will be able to see that.
Going once. Going twice. Mr. Mayor, the floor is yours.
Okay, all right, thank you. Let's move on to item 7.1 under unfinished business. We will open up the discussion to consider appointing planning commissioner from the 6 wonderful candidates that we have. In this situation, and I'm so excited and pleased that we had this kind of interest in the one planning commission meeting. This is something that I've longed for, is to see this level of desire to participate in the city business. And there's no wrong candidate, there's no wrong decision, in my opinion. But it is difficult when you have the talent that we have, who have for the applicants who apply. But it is incumbent upon me as the mayor to make a decision and put it to the council for consideration. That's the way the process is designed to work. And I've given it a lot of thought, and I really appreciated the wonderful presentations that you all gave. And it's time for me to make a decision on who I want to move forward as a candidate for this position. My decision is to recommend Joe Casanova for the position on the Planning Commission. Given Joe's experience dealing with complex issues that involved communities, his desire to make decisions based on truth and fact and not emotion, and his diverse background from living in other regions and understanding the intricacies of a lot of different viewpoints from a lot of different communities. And he has a real strong desire to make the community better. And so that is my recommendation to the council. I would like to open it up to any discussion. And if the thing that has to happen is that either you're going to accept my recommendation or tell me something that you might think differently. So it's open for discussion from the council. That is my recommendation, Joe Casanova.
Mayor, this is Jamie Fender. I just wanted to kind of reiterate the importance of how many applicants we got this time. And I really, for me personally, I can just say, and I'm sure you had felt the same, that this was a very, very difficult choice. I think all of the candidates in an ideal world would fit greatly on our planning commission, would bring a different aspect, and I wish that we could get everyone there. I just wanted to kind of reiterate that I really hope that all the applicants will continue to be involved and continue to share their thoughts. And I think that it's there's lots of different ways that they can continue to do that. So I'll make sure, you know, as always, to kind of reach out and keep everyone informed of how they can kind of continue to partner with us. Right? So that's really all I wanted to share.
Comments from other counselors? Anyone? You guys are awfully quiet.
This is Smart. Good evening, everybody. Sorry I joined late. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you. And
Okay.
we can see you.
Yes, good. Thank you. Again, I agree with Jamie, and what you just said, Mayor Gibson, is it's a great opportunity for us to have a talented field of people and with very varying backgrounds and skill sets and experiences and everything, and really shows how the people want to be involved in what we do for our community and what we're trying to build out here. And that's one of the reasons I joined the commission back then, and then now I'm part of the council. If you live in the community, you should be able to participate in making it be what you want it to be, and also carrying on the input from other people, other neighbors and other people around in the community. And so it's a great field that we had, and I know it was a very difficult kind of decision for you. I bet you're putting so much thought into your coming down with this recommendation. They're all great candidates, and I think they all have a great intention for wanting to join this commission. And that's all because of the things that they've all laid out in their resumes and their presentation last week. And I think, again, like Jamie said, we can always be part of this community from any level that we are participating in. And I think it's a great thing that they all did that, and looking forward to working with them in any other capacity. And we're open to them participating one way or the other to continue contributing to us building this great city. Thank you.
Okay.
Mayor, I think Councilor Platt had a question.
Oh, Dave? Go ahead, Dave.
I would just like to say that at our last meeting, I felt very impressed with the different candidates that we had. And I know it's a tough choice for the mayor. And I would just hope that each one of the persons who submitted their names would stay involved, and we'd like to be able to use them in the future for any one of a number of things, but for city council, for planning commission, and we welcome their content, their input.
Okay. Any other comments, concerns?
Hey, Mayor, this is Councilor Moore, and I just wanted to really thank everyone. I'm the newest counselor, really, on the council, and so I'm still getting to know a lot of our neighbors, and I do want to get to know everyone. I want to hear from people like Mike and Smith. I want to hear what your experiences are. Mike, when I was listening to you talk about the history of your land, I really got a good picture of, what this change is like for you and your family. And I think those stories are really important to share. We all talk about wanting you to be involved, and we mean it. We're not just saying it, we really mean it. and that we don't know.
I think Kate is frozen.
Kate is frozen.
Kate froze.
Kate, can you hear us, Kate?
I hope it wasn't a big chunk of ice.
Am I
You're back, Kate. Oh,
okay?
there you
Okay.
are. You're back. You're back.
Doing a little dance to make sure. I don't know what deep thought I was on, but I just kept talking. So I want to make sure that everyone knows that we really do want to hear from you. And it's not something that we're just saying. We all have city email addresses. You can email us. And then I love seeing people come to the meetings as well. That really means a lot to us. And it's a really good way to kind of, find out, keep track of what's going on. So
We're going to lose you again, Kate.
This is your kind of
No volume.
thanks, everybody.
Okay, Kate, thank you so much. Anyone else? Micah?
Yeah, I just wanted to point out what Ronnie had put up on the screen a few minutes ago in the chat, that it sounds like there are positions right now at the budget committee. So there's an opportunity to get involved for anybody that would like to. And then just to reiterate what the rest of the counselors have said, that really do appreciate everybody's stepping up and wanting to be part of this. It's a really exciting time to be part of this city and what we're doing. And there are plenty of opportunities to get involved and will continue to be. So I hope that you will all take advantage of it.
And everybody is absolutely right. And being involved, attending council meetings, attending planning commission meetings so that you know what's going on, keeping your ear to the pulse of what's going on and speaking up. And also the activities surrounding the transportation system planning and master planning, citizens advisory and technical advisory is going to be very important, and all of those other functions that's going to be coming up in the future is vitally important. And I appreciate every one of you, I really do. Decision wasn't easy, but it needed to be made. So with that being said, I would imagine the proper process would be a motion to approve the nomination and a second.
I'll make a motion to approve the nomination of Joe Casanova.
Second. Oh, sorry.
I think we know what it's for. For Planning Commission.
Micah, that was you seconded?
Yes.
Okay. With a show of hands, or do you need a roll call, Mike? Show of hands. All in favor?
Smart, I can't see yours. There you go, 6. So I got 6-0.
Okay, with that said, so approved. So Joe, thank you and welcome to the Planning Commission. And you're open to have a few words if you'd like.
Thank you, Mike Gibson. Firstly, I want to appreciate the confidence that you have in me to be able to be a good role model for this role, and also all the councillors, for their vote of confidence. At this point, I also want to thank all the other folks that also put their names in, and I will definitely be talking to Michael and Smith. I think earlier on this afternoon, I was driving past sort of Michael's area. So Michael, you and I have met before. I'll definitely be reaching out to you. I want to have a good understanding and walk your talk and walk all the lovely history that you and your family have. And I think, Smith, if I'm not mistaken, I probably saw you about 40 minutes ago walking your dog. I think you live almost diagonally across from where I live. I was looking up at my roof. I think that was you. So I'll definitely be reaching out for you and get some of your insights in terms of the transportation pieces of it. So with that, over to you. And again, humbly thank you. And I'm very honored, feel very privileged, and I'm looking forward to working with for King City and for the community as a whole. Thank you.
Thank you for your service in advance. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. It's an honor. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, let's move on. And all of you are welcome to stay on if you'd like for the rest of the council meeting. We do have next on the agenda 7.1. We have a presentation on the master plan from Steve Faust. Is Steve with us?
I'm here.
Okay.
Mike, was there anything that you wanted to say before I got started?
I don't know, Steve. You do such a great job of this stuff, man. I don't think I really need to add much.
All right. I think I have permissions. I'll try to, pull up a PowerPoint presentation.
Well, Steve, what I would like for you to do is do a formal introduction and tell everybody where you're from, who you're representing, and that would be the appropriate thing to do.
Will do. Hi, my name is Steve Faust. I am the Community Planning Director with 3J Consulting, and very proud to be leading the consultant team assisting with the King City Master Plan. And thanks for this opportunity to present to you all the progress that we've made thus far and where we're heading going forward. A quick question, just for my purposes, how many people on the council participated in the concept plan process? So it looks like some did and some didn't. So I'm going to review a little bit of information from that process in this presentation, and then look a bit to the future as well. So in terms of this process, you may be aware that the concept plan for this King City urban growth boundary expansion area was developed in 2018. It established baseline conditions, a community vision, and some preliminary design considerations. This master plan is going to build on that plan and provide more detail, essentially, additional development detail to implement the vision that was laid out in that concept plan. And at the same time, we're going to be taking a close look at the results of the King City Transportation System Plan process, which is going on right now and will filter in to the master plan recommendations, and the Tigard River Terrace planning process. They're in the process and getting close to finishing their concept planning process. So that planning process that King City finished, I guess 3 years ago now, Tigard is nearly complete with that process for the area just north of the King City expansion area. And ultimately, this process is going to result in implementation tools, including comprehensive plan and development code amendments, funding, phasing, and other relevant recommendations. So in terms of our process, we have completed the first meetings of our Technical Advisory Committee and Stakeholder Advisory Committee in January and early February. And this is happy to be meeting with you tonight and holding a similar briefing with Planning Commission next week. And pretty soon, so up until now, we've had what you could call a soft launch of this project. We were doing some behind the scenes work, putting together the public involvement plan and our existing conditions report, doing a lot of work to assemble the technical and stakeholder advisory committees. And now we're really getting ready to make a big splash with the broader public. And in the coming weeks, you'll see a lot of outreach materials, advertising our website, advertising an online open house, and a public meeting, which I'll talk a bit more about in just a minute. So there's a lot in the public involvement plan, and I encourage you to take a look at it. It may, I think it was either included in your packets, or a link to the project website in the project library where it lives was included in your packet. I just wanted to go through the great people that we have on our stakeholder and technical advisory committees, not go through each one, but just show you that we've got robust, here's our stakeholder advisory committee with robust representation from people throughout the city and the study area, and representing other interests in this expansion area. So we have great representation there. And then our technical advisory committee, we've got folks representing all the technical expertise, our partner agencies, neighboring cities and government, all the folks that we need to really have a successful process. In terms of community engagement, we're going to be using a variety of tools. I just mentioned the Stakeholder Advisory Committee and the Technical Advisory Committee. We are about to initiate a series of stakeholder interviews and focus group meetings, meeting with you tonight for this briefing, and we'll do so with Planning Commission, public workshops, community surveys, social media, project website, print materials. And then of course, these activities will evolve over time as we are able, as we move into different phases of where we're at relative to COVID-19. We may be able to do more in-person activities as time goes on. I want to emphasize the website, kingcitymasterplan.com. That website has not been widely distributed yet. As I mentioned, it will be very soon. We are working on media materials and a postcard that's going to be mailed to everyone in the city and the study area. So again, you'll see a big splash in terms of announcing the project soon, but I want everyone to be aware that kingcitymasterplan.com is where you can go for all the project information you need. In terms of our next steps, now that we've finished our existing conditions phase and hosted meetings with our stakeholder and technical advisory committees, the next thing up is we're going to be launching an online open house. That should be up within about a week. We will, and the materials that go out to the public, the postcard and other materials, are going to advertise that online open house. There'll be a link from that website that I shared earlier. We also will be advertising a virtual public meeting, via Zoom like this, that we're going to host on March 15th. That meeting will be at 6 p.m. And then I mentioned stakeholder interviews and focus groups. We'll be reaching out to folks and trying to schedule those in the next few weeks and hold those in February and March. And if there's anyone who you think or you know of, if anyone on the call wants to be interviewed for those interviews, we're more than happy to do so. But folks can also, the majority of people will participate in the online open house. So I mentioned kind of revisiting some of the information from the concept plan combined with what we looked at in our existing and planned conditions phase. So I'll just walk through these, I won't spend too much time on them, but I just want to make sure that people are aware of some of the framework of what we're doing. The vision for the expansion area is a vibrant, walkable, and complete community where everyday needs are easily accessible. Housing choice and affordability for current and future, there's housing choice and affordability for current and future residents. Safe, efficient, convenient, and reliable transportation choices to enhance connectivity and minimize automobile dependency. Protection of environmentally sensitive lands and retention of healthy ecosystems. An efficient and equitable provision of infrastructure and associated costs. The concept plan laid out 4 frameworks that will guide our work over the coming months. One is the natural systems framework, which looks at protecting the Tualatin River, sensitive habitat and other natural systems, reducing runoff and healing erosion, and integrating green spaces and wetlands into developed areas. We'll be taking a very close look at streams and wetlands, our floodplains, and conservation easements. From a land use perspective, we're really looking at providing a mix of housing types to accommodate a wide range of incomes and needs, creating a new mixed-use town center area with neighborhood scale and character, and allowing for gentle transitions between rural and urban development. You may all have seen this diagram in the past that shows, generally speaking, the transition from east to west of more rural character neighborhood to these central neighborhoods to the town center and employment area. And the plan overall is to accommodate more than 3,500 dwelling units and about 50,000 square feet of leasable floor area, a range of jobs in that employment area. And then we also know potentially some civic uses in the town center. Mobility, envisioning a complete network of streets and path types, a connected transportation network, supporting all modes of transportation, and creating a complementary walkable urban environment that supports viable transit service. We know that, as I mentioned before, the concept plan identified a range of street and path types, including green boulevards, main streets, local neighborhood streets, shared streets, residential alleys, and more rural character and multi-use paths and trails. Public utilities and services, looking at integrated stormwater management throughout the area, again, reducing runoff and healing erosion, and using best practices for stormwater management and mitigation. We know that there is capacity to serve the expansion area with water, that Clean Water Services regional facilities are adequately sized to receive and treat wastewater, but that a new local collector system is required to convey wastewater from the area, and new pipes will be needed to convey water throughout the area. Some opportunities and challenges. So the information I just presented was some basic information that will be included in the online open house, and we'll be asking the public to just revisit. We think it's really important to revisit that vision and reaffirm that that people support that vision for the future of this area. And then we'll also be asking for opportunities to realize that vision, what the opportunities are. We've also are just beginning to work at looking towards developing land use alternatives for the area. And there are some things that remain constant or remain fixed from that concept plan that you'll see when in the next phase of the process. And those are sensitivity to the Tualatin River and surrounding natural areas. We know that there's at least 318 developable acres and probably more as we refine our understanding of where natural resources and stream corridors are on the site. Again, accommodating approximately 50,000 square feet of commercial uses within a 10 to 20 year horizon, accommodating more than 3,500 dwelling units within those 4 neighborhoods, locating higher density residential near transit, providing a spectrum of housing types, looking at perpendicular crossings at the narrowest segment of the ravines, the different drainages that go throughout the area, and establishing a pedestrian and bike network connectivity. Some of the challenges or decisions that we know still need to be made include the exact location of the town center and its orientation, the location of our east-west connections, the location of our north-south transit connections, what types of crossings will be used at those drainages or ravines, whether they be bridges or culverts. Looking at some unique areas within our study area, including the conservation easement on the Bankston property and the existing airfield. Taking a close look at local street alignments, looking at drainage areas and topography, and then some of our infrastructure, gravity pipelines across drainages and pipe alignments for sewer. Again, in terms of next steps, we're really getting ready for our big launch of our public outreach and our public engagement activities, and you'll see that coming very soon here in the next few weeks. And with that, I think that's the extent of what I have to present to you. Again, we're just getting started, and we're really excited about the progress we've made, but even more excited about really starting to reach out and hear from the broader community. With that, I'd be happy to take questions. or comments for that matter.
So Steve, can I just ask you a question? I know that a lot of people are asking specific dates and things of that nature, and like looking into your crystal ball. Can you give us rough estimates? I know the timelines here on your 4th slide, but can you just kind of lay it out for us on, you know, we have a planning commission and city council this month. When's the next time that we get another update from the group?
Just 1 second. Let me pull up that slide for myself.
And then the other thing that I just wanted to clarify was, you know, there was some misnomers out there about a March, was it 6th? 6th. Okay, March 6th meeting. And how close are we to getting some sort of community event in and around that time frame? Because I know that's not the date that we have. But.
Yep, I mentioned that. We are going to be hosting, and we'll be broadcasting this soon, but on Monday, March 15th at 6 p.m. That's when our virtual public meeting will take place. There's also going to be this online open house for people who can't make it that night, or for people can do both. But we're going to launch an online open house even before that to allow people to start reviewing information and sharing their comments. And Mike, in terms of your first question, did you say when we'll be back presenting to this group, to City Council the next time? Yeah. According to our schedule, that is roughly end of June, beginning of July. Basically, following this round of public outreach, we'll be developing land use alternatives. The stakeholder and technical advisory committees are going to meet in April to review those preliminary alternatives and give us some comments. We're going to refine those and go back to that group in June and do another round of broad public outreach to share these land use alternatives with those 2 committees and with the public through another public meeting and online open house. And once we gather all that information, the next presentation we'll come to this group and to Planning Commission and say, here's the 3 alternatives that we proposed, and here's what the public and our advisory committees had to say about them. So that'll be probably in June.
Steve, this is Jamie, which you can see me. I don't know why I keep introducing myself. I guess I'm used to teleconferences, but can you just touch upon the efforts that that you guys are doing to outreach for our maybe non-native English speaking residents? Is there a translation of any of the documents, or can you kind of touch upon some of those efforts?
Yeah, we're still figuring out some of the details there. I think in terms of our first round of outreach, we're going to have try to word this correctly, little, like the postcard that we're going to send out to all the residences will have a little translated piece and let people know how they can get more information in their language. So we'll have that in Spanish, and I think there's one other language that is pretty predominant in King City, though I can't remember off the top of my head. And then Korean, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll have at least a place that people who can find those materials in Spanish and Korean. And then, we have not figured out or come to conclusion on the details of exactly what materials are going to be translated into which languages. So our first wave of this is just making sure that people can reach out to resources and receive information, at least verbally, in those different languages. And then we'll have to work with Mike to determine, what kind of resources we have to translate, whether we want to get a translator for our virtual open house. That's something we could definitely do. With additional resources, we could provide the online open house in Spanish as well. But as you know, all those things have costs, and we'll just need to figure out can you share with me what's worked best from your perspective on previous efforts?
Well, Mike, that's probably a better question for you as far as candidly, the only thing I know about is really just translation into print material into Spanish. What I have found in kind of organizing community-wide events as well, is that there's no real way to capture the receipt of the information. So I've never had a good sense of how helpful it is, how much engagement we're getting, because there's never been a process by which we can get reciprocal communication, right? So it's always hard, and I get it. I just I just want to make sure that we're reaching out to kind of all of our community, right? So, and I guess Steve, my one follow-up question is, for right now, we are all getting questions from people about, where do I go to get the most information? At this point, is it the most appropriate to direct people to kingcitymasterplan.com and have them just that be the point of contact of information for everyone?
Definitely.
Okay.
Definitely. And that's where our information that's going to go out soon is going to ask people to go for more information. Obviously, they can always talk to Mike, and his contact information is included in everything, but the website's the best place to go. And then for, if people need additional information, they can always be directed to me, and I can share my contact information or whatever the best way to do that is. Okay. But I did want to say, Councilor Fender, also that our stakeholder advisory committee also raised some great ideas, and that meeting was just on the 8th, I believe, but raised some great ideas to supplement our initial ideas about community engagement. So we're in the process of figuring out how to incorporate those new ideas and techniques into our overall plan.
Awesome. Great. Thank you so much.
One quick question now. Did you mention that there's going to be another mailer, like a postcard? When do you think that will be going out to residents?
We're developing that right now. I think it'll probably be ready tomorrow or Friday for Mike to review. And so it'll be ready by early next week. And then it's just a matter of how long does it take to print and get those in the mail. I'm not entirely, so I would say in two weeks, like not next week, but the week after probably. Mm-hmm. Does that sound about right, Mike?
And
I think once we get it from you guys, then it's probably at least a week over at Minuteman to get sent out. And our last time our experience was after we'd sent it out, it still took at least a week for people to start seeing it in their box.
Right.
Which was kind of surprising because some people got it right away and others, heck, they didn't get it for almost 2 weeks afterwards. Right. So there was like a 2-week delivery window there, I want to say.
Sure. So, and what will be the content? What will that postcard inform everybody of? What will you think?
I would say 3 main things. I mean, this is really the first time that some people will know that this project is up and running. So it's going to announce the project. It's going to direct people to the website for more information. It's going to announce the online open house, which we're not going to give the direct link to that. We'll ask people to go to the website because we don't want to have people going into a bunch of different places.
Right.
We'll have a consistent message of go to the website, and then we'll be announcing that March 15th virtual public meeting.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. Smith?
I have 2 questions for you, and they both involve the opportunities and challenges slide. I was hoping for a little bit more clarification on 2 things. The first one is the mention of high density residential near transit that's on the upper right of the first slide. And I wanted to know what transit you are considering, because it also shows up on the second slide under north-south transit connections. Are you talking about north-south transit connections on Roy Rogers and 99W or something in between? And when you're referring to high-density residential near transit, are you talking about the expansion area, or are you talking about something that exists?
So when we're talking about transit, which I think in the location of transit, which is your first question, I believe, we'll be working with TriMet to explore where transit routes are going to be located through this area in the future. Tigard is in the process of finishing their concept plan, and they're envisioning some commercial areas along River Terrace Road, which would feed directly into the area that's near where we envision our town center. We know that TriMet prefers arterials, my understanding, for their transit routes, but also prefers that they not act like arterials. So maybe some internal streets are more appropriate for some of the transit routes. So we're still in the process of determining exactly where, if future transit routes might go, like you said, along Roy Rogers, or might be redirected to River Terrace Boulevard. A lot to be determined in that respect. And then your second question had to do with higher density residential, but I didn't quite catch what that was, Smith.
Well, the current plan, it has most of the new residential development in the center, in the Beef Bend neighborhood and the central neighborhood. The lower density being the rural neighborhood that you have off to the east. I'm sorry, the map I have is your slide of bullets, so it's covering what labels are there. The bullet, the area off to the west, south of Beef Bend, east of Roy Rogers, if I recall from other graphics, that was the Main Street town center type area. Are you envisioning that as a mixed density, a mixed use environment with high density residential and mixed in there as well? And is that what that high density residential near transit refers to?
Yeah, definitely. That's the area where we, in some configuration, coming down into and through that area is where we envision transit happening. And yes, that town center will be mixed use. It won't just be, it'll be a mix of, commercial, civic, and residential uses. And in terms of, high density, I don't know what everyone's definition of high density is. I can't remember exactly what the concept plan said about, how it defined high density, but that is where the highest density, type of development is envisioned.
Okay, is there any specific transit-oriented development that's being considered? Because that is slightly different than the town center type things that are in some of the past slides and things like that.
Mike, why don't you go ahead, and then I'm happy to follow up.
So say your question one more time, Smith, so I can hear it.
Are we looking at any kind of transit-oriented development? Anything like that that's on the table, like some of the nodes that they have clustered around the MAX lines going out through Beaverton and Hillsborough, where you kind of have a compressed area of development that's centered around a transit hub, like a super stop of sorts?
I don't think we're looking for any kind of super stop sort of situation. What is projected is the King City Town Center on the other side coming off of Durham Road as being a potential turnaround or a connection point. And that has been in TriMet's long-term vision to come into that transit. What we've talked about doing is a couple things. One was like a potential automated loop coming down Beef Bend and tying the two town centers on each end together. We've talked about the potential to do that, but in coordination with City of Tigard and others, is we've tried to figure out how we can develop a transit line along that west side. And although we'd like to have transit more down like River Terrace Boulevard area, it's more likely TriMet will try to push us toward Roy Rogers as the TriMet line.
I would think so.
And we don't really think Beef Bend's a player because of the fact that you have 99W and Roy Rogers on each side. And so really, I think the only way that we can get tie the two town centers together is by creating maybe, and we're thinking pretty futuristic here, like an automated loop of sorts and making sure that the infrastructure is there to do that. And we've looked at
basically microtransit, right? Automated microtransit.
Yep, not anything big. It's just like a 2 or 3 person little tube car, really, is what it is.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Okay, cool. And that's what we've kind of been specking out and looking at, anyways.
Okay, I'll be quiet now.
No, these are good questions. I love it. Okay, so any other questions or concerns for Steve or Mike or any of the rest of us?
I have one more question, Mayor. I didn't see what's the outreach to the businesses that are already down, like Al's? Do we have input and kind of communication with them? How are we getting kind of some of the businesses that, I don't know of any other business than Al's, but right? So
I think Al's is the only one down there.
I think it is. So how do we get them to the table discussing with us? And because we love Al's and we don't want them to,
Yeah. So if you get a chance to look at the public involvement plan, I didn't include a slide here because I didn't want to go on for too long tonight, but we did identify, I know we have maybe, 50, 60 groups that we want to make sure that we get in touch with. I can't remember off the top of my head if Al's is represented on that list, but if you get a chance to look at that list and there's businesses or organizations or places of, faith-based places or other places that you want to make sure we have on our list to reach out to, we're committed to whether we can't take the time to interview every stakeholder, but we can reach out to every stakeholder and ask them to take the online survey or participate in the virtual open house, or if they want to follow up with us and we can talk to them in an interview type of format. But that's I can't speak to Al specifically, but we welcome your input of folks and organizations that we need to have on our list of parties to engage.
Sure. Okay. Thank you so much.
Okay, team, anyone else? Any other questions or concerns while we have Steve's attention?
If I may, Mayor, I think, despite what I said about the way that our schedule's laid out, thinking about it now, it makes sense for me to come back to you all in May to do another briefing. Even if we don't have decisions to make, I feel like between now and late June or early July is just too long. So maybe we can plan on seeing you all again in May and giving you a project update.
Okay, we'll welcome that. Yes, we need as many updates as we can, and hopefully we'll have more people joining these kind of sessions so that they can hear firsthand some of the updates that's going on. Between the updates that you give to us as a council, those updates are happening at the Planning Commission as well, from what I understood you to say. So there's plenty of opportunity. And then with everything else that's going to be going on, I'm hoping that we get to the point where there's no reason why our residents don't know where to go to get more information and to be involved. So,
yep. And a couple other quick notes. I know, Smith, you're definitely on my list of people to reach out to for an interview. So I'll be in touch in the coming weeks. And if anyone else is interested or knows of someone we should be talking to, let me know. And then in the chat room, Mike Meyer mentioned that a good percentage of King City's population is over 65. And what does that mean in terms of a lot of our outreach happening virtually? And that is a real challenge, especially during COVID. Some of the things that we can do is working with, to the extent that there's senior living centers, other main hubs where people, grocery stores, other main hubs where people frequent, happy to engage with those locations and provide paper materials that people can access, City Hall, post office, all those types of places. We're happy to provide paper, surveys and other materials to supplement the information that we get online.
Okay. And I think it's important on our end to make sure that we ask those kind of questions of the leadership within the senior communities. We are now having a regular HOA presidents meeting that include the president of the HOA for the Highlands, the representative from the KCCA. And we need to have those kind of conversations with them to say, look, we're trying to make sure that we get as much information out to our seniors as possible. How can you participate in these kinds of things with us to make sure that communication is in fact going to be happening? So we will pose that question at the next HOA president's meeting to make sure that question gets some traction too.
Thank you. That would be great, and we'll look forward to tapping into that network as well.
Okay.
Like I said, the more you all and our advisory committee members can help spread the word. We might, in our initial outreach, we might miss some people, but the more we're identifying where we missed, we'll keep redoubling our efforts to make sure we reach as many people as possible.
Okay, sounds good. Any other questions or comments or concerns? Okay, well, Steve, thank you so much. Well done. I appreciate your efforts. It's still an exciting time, and I'm looking forward to the progress.
Thank you.
Okay, so with that being said, I don't think we have any other presentations. We don't have any add-ons, do we?
Nope, that's all we got for tonight.
Okay, so we will go through our normal process then of having our report out. Ernie.
Can everybody hear me?
We can hear you. We can't see you.
Hey, you don't want to see me. I'm still covered in snow out here, so I don't know what's going on with my stuff. But
okay.
All right, just real quickly, all line staff with King City PD have received both shots for COVID-19. A lot of people have asked. We've had the Moderna version.
Okay.
And so that's something that we are taking care of there. I think this week will be the second full week after receiving the second shot. So we'll be in whatever the experts call that little zone after 95% for the Moderna. A couple of things that are on the horizon: drug turn-in. We're going to try to participate this year. Hopefully things just keep going the way they are. April 24th. That's a Saturday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. I haven't figured out if I'm going to do a drive up or it's just going to be a walk-in. Stay tuned for that. National Night Out is planning to go this year. They just pushed their stuff out. August 3rd. Again, that's first Tuesday of August. And that's about all I have right now. I don't know if Mike had anything else that we needed to get into, but I think we were pretty good right there.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, Ernie. No side effects from the second shot?
I didn't. Everybody else, I think, did, and they got hit hard.
Yeah.
And so there's a little bit of a warning there. It basically, I was like crazy lucky, and it basically made my arm sore, and that was it. But I know everybody else was knocked down really good for 24 to 36 hours.
Okay. Yeah, I talked to Lieutenant Sigler, and he said that it was affecting him. So, okay, I'm glad you guys got it done, though. I appreciate it very much. Thank you. Okay.
All right, thank you.
All right, Ernie. Have a good one. Mike.
Hi, all. I couldn't unmute, so it has been a busy couple weeks. Thanks to Steve and his group for working with us. We've been presenting here and there. We have, Mayor, I spoke with you, and I spoke with Councilor Fender as well. CPO 4K has asked that we give an update on our TSP progress. We told them that, we don't have it in the budget to have our consultants at their meeting, but we can give a general, 10,000 foot elevation. But really going into the details is difficult without having the consultants actually there. So we're encouraging everyone to come back to this process and be informed through the processes that are provided for in the scope of the TSP and the scope of the master plan. So that's one. Two, we have the community resiliency project coming up. We are asking contractors to give us some bids on pouring some concrete down at the community park around the little circle there. And I talked to a tile person, and they said just a regular standard concrete pony wall would be fine. And we can go in there with mosaic tiles and just set them in there in some thin set, and it would be fine. So we're trying to get one of the artists that we got from Sherwood and Tigard on board to take on the mosaic part, the artistic part of the tiles, and then move that project forward. So we are running out of time. Time is ticking on us a lot faster than we had hoped or anticipated, but it is moving ahead. I just want to give you guys an update on that. Haven't seen much coming out of the TSP group lately. It's been probably 3 weeks now. We're still waiting on task 6. We got all of our task 5 stuff done, but task 6 is kind of slow deliverable yet, and we haven't really seen much activity out of there. So there's not much to really report on that front. The House Bill 2001 and 2003 is still progressing. Works is working on that. They finished kind of the code audit and put that forward. I think that will be again presented. That was presented to the Planning Commission at the end of last month, and they'll probably give a slight update next week, but not too much on it. Those are the big 3 that are kind of going on and happening. Other than that, the city got by pretty well in retrospect after this last storm. We only had a couple down trees here and there. We had a water break this morning that we had to respond to. Ernie and Brian went down there and had to turn off the water. Just a lot of little things happening here and there that we're trying to get taken care of. There was another stormwater. It was a private stormwater break that we investigated down near Morocco and what is it? I'm going to butcher it. I think it's Montgomery. That's not it though. Anyways, there's 2 streets over in the Garden Villa area there. North of Morocco, there's a break in one of the stormwater connections that collects the rainwater from their gutters. It goes down a little easement behind the houses. We had Clean Water Services come out and investigate it, found the break, but it's not on their maintained map. So it looks like it collects the rainwater from the houses down those 2 streets and runs down an easement down the backside and then dumps into the public system on Morocco. That was bubbling up at the surface, and we were trying to figure out where that was coming from. I think we've kind of figured it out, but unfortunately it's kind of out of our purview and not under Clean Water Service jurisdiction. So let's see, what else do we got going on? The community park, we're going to be spraying down there, the field. We're going to do a spray fertilizer here before too much longer. And then I think early May, we're going to aerate and sand the fields out there. It's still pretty unplayable right now. The water levels have been really high adjacent to it in the wetland area there. So that prevents the water from draining too well. We still have pretty high water throughout that area in the soils. It's probably only about a foot deep or so. Better than it was before, but we still have to deal with some of the drainage there. It's a little sluggish. So anyways, that's about all I've really got for now. Just been a busy couple of weeks dealing with all the stuff that's been kind of going on. It's been a little bit of a whirlwind. So
yeah.
Hey Mike, what can we do to help support you, support the project down at the art project at the park? Anything we can do?
So I think we were kind of trying to lay the groundwork first, right? So I'm trying to get 3 contractors, 3 construction guys to give me at least 3 bids on it. It shouldn't be that much to pour 2 pony walls that are 2 feet high by 1 foot wide by 10 feet long, right? So that shouldn't be that expensive. It should be relatively easy and quick for us to get that done. And then the real challenge is getting the mosaic put together, right? Getting the little tiles and then scheduling the community event. So scheduling the event for sometime in March to get everybody out there painting tiles with their family, with their kids, what have you, so that we can put those tiles on the bench and get it sealed. So
why don't I follow up with you? I have some ideas on that. So why don't I follow up with you offline? And I think that would be great. And then Joe, I'll probably, circle back around with the HOAs, because I think we're going to heavily need to advertise, at least through Edgewater. I used to have Erica just email the HOA list with our new management company. I don't know. I'm sure we could figure that out, but that was a really easy way to get people to know about events down at the park. So okay. I'll follow up with kind of both of you, and then I have some ideas. So we can just get that rolling. At least get something on a date on the calendar, and then we can just start working backwards. So
okay, cool. Yeah, that'd be great if we can figure that out. I think I can move that wall pretty quick.
Yeah,
like those guys can be out there, probably form that sucker up in a day or two, and then pour concrete within a week. So
I mean, I think we just need to think on a sunny day. I think it would be awesome to be able to mark, we could mark out socially distant spots where families could set up and do little stations, right? Mask. I mean, we can do it in a way that everyone keeps distant when it's not raining, right? And it's not super soggy. So I think we just need to think thoughtfully for a little bit about, okay, if it rains on our day, how are we going to facilitate it and all of that. So I'll loop Annie and Viva, who I know are on the call and listening. I'll circle back with them too, and we'll kind of brainstorm and then see if that's something they want to help with. And then, but regardless, I'll circle back with you offline.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. And I think if you guys could figure out even helping me put together a flyer or a mailer or something to that effect, where we can just shoot it out to everybody, or maybe we make some banners or some signs here and there. However we want to do this, we need to get rolling on it pretty quick.
Yeah. All right, cool. I'm on it.
All right.
Good. And Mike, one quick question on the issue with the break that the Clean Water Services, who foots the bill for this kind of situation, or is that undetermined? Who would foot the bill for that repair?
Well, there's no bill for the investigation, but essentially what it was determined to be a private line. So and it would have to be the homeowners or the HOA would have to step up and pay for the connection or the repair. Luckily, what it looked like to us was it looked like just a 3 or 4 inch PVC pipe running down the back alley.
Okay.
And that could just be a simple trip to Home Depot and a couple little plastic connections to connect the rainwater again.
Okay.
Line. So it could be really simple. It could be really inexpensive. Hopefully it's not a big deal, but we got a call from a gentleman that lives down there, said there was water bubbling up in the alleyway behind his house. And so we went out and checked, and that's what it looked like to us. We called Clean Water Services. They came out, met our guy on the scene, and gave us a report on it that wasn't within their purview, and it wasn't one of their lines.
Okay.
Like I saw a big tree fell on Fisher in the entrance into Edgewater. Did the entire tree? Is it? I just happened to walk by and I couldn't see if it was the entire tree that fell or.
Yeah, the entire tree fell.
It did. Bummer. Yeah, I saw it from.
That was my next question. Who is responsible for that tree removal?
That is a good question. I believe since it's within the little wetland preserve area.
That collection area, it wasn't on the property, on the corner, it was inside the collection area?
Yeah, I think so. It was like right there inside the collection area, right?
I can tell by looking at it.
So You know, I'd have to check with Dave to make sure of the exact location, but based on the photos that I saw that Dave sent me, it looked to me like it was inside that stormwater area and then fell across the fence.
Right.
If it's outside that stormwater area, it's probably that property owner. But if it's inside, then it's probably Clean Water Services. I don't think there's a lot of trees inside that fenced area though.
No, I didn't think there was.
So it's probably, what is it, Tim Horst? Is that who owns that property? Yep. Okay, so Tim Horst is the one that owns that property. He'd be the one that would be ultimately responsible for cleaning that up.
Okay.
Yeah, they put it back on Tim.
Okay.
Clean Water did.
Oh, okay. So did it take out a street tree as well? Or, you know, it almost looked like, was there a street tree that got taken out by that one falling?
There's definitely fencing there.
Right.
I don't know if a street tree got hit as well.
Okay. So if there was a street tree at that location, would we be responsible for that piece of it?
Yes.
Okay.
But I mean, you could technically, there's some sort of ownership thing with trees, like whoever the land the tree comes from and falls onto, like they're responsible, right?
Right.
I think you'd have to file that through an insurance claim or something, and then the insurance companies fight it off back and forth.
Sure.
I don't want to talk about trees in Edgewater for at least a year. So let's just stop with Clean Water Services and the homeowner on the corner.
We can't get around it, Jamie.
Yeah, I think it's the homeowner or their insurance would end up having to pay the majority of that.
Okay. All right. Okay, I'll get off that subject. Okay. Any other questions for Mike?
All right. Thanks, guys.
Okay, Mike, thank you. All right, let's go around the horn. Counselors, Jamie, why don't you kick us off?
Okay, sure. Other than kind of shadowing Ken at the, was it the WCC? Ken, what meeting did I shadow you at?
That was the one on a Monday after the Super Bowl?
Yes.
That was the WCCC.
Oh, the WC. I was very close. And I will tell you, I was
County Coordinating Committee.
Yes. So that was interesting. That was my first time shadowing Ken on a meeting like that. So that I enjoyed myself, despite that I unfortunately had some type of food poisoning. It was a very poor timing because of the Super Bowl. It was not related, but so that was interesting. And then I'm excited to kind of share. I met with Chief Hapola and Lieutenant Sigler this week to discuss how we can address informing, protecting, and ultimately warning our residents, specifically our more senior residents, of the onslaught of kind of scams that are happening at the moment. So we've devised, I think, a really great kind of twofold program where we're going to do a Zoom meeting and run through kind of what's out there, what are the scams that we're really seeing within King City, what to be aware of, how can you mitigate things, how can you check if a contractor's licensed before you hire them, right? What kind of take them through a few things that they can do, resources, and then take them through a little bit of what are some of the steps that they can take after they've potentially been scammed. But really also hammering home that, Lieutenant Sigler explained that in the 14 years that he's been doing, being in King City, that they've only caught one out of the thousands and thousands. So really the key is hammering home prevention and, educating our residents that you're never going to be able to pay your taxes with an iTunes card from Walgreens, right? And don't ever send cash, right, to a relative that's been arrested and things like that. So anyway,
do you think that's a topic of conversation that would be necessary to have with the HOA presidents as well?
So this is this is the second fold of this. So we want to do kind of a back-to-back process. One is we want to have a general meeting, a Zoom that's open to everyone, and heavily advertise it through our HOAs, through kind of all the social media, through all of the platforms that we have available, and kind of highly advertise it to make it kind of a 1 hour Zoom kind of thing. But then what we also want to do is provide a material, a flyer that has kind of the top tips, do's and don'ts, and lists resources. And we would also like that to be sent out with the information through the HOAs, and again, through all of our various kind of platforms, and possibly print some for, keep it at City Hall, right? Do stuff like that. So that, we don't expect the entire city is going to be able to come to a Zoom meeting, but we would at least like to get some of these, these suggestions, top tips kind of out to everyone, especially right now.
Do you guys have that Zoom meeting scheduled yet?
We don't. So we're still kind of working on that. We just kind of did the skeleton frame of both the flyer and the agenda. And so I'm hoping to kind of have all of that in the next probably week scheduled and kind of starting to at least come together. So I will kind of circle back around with you guys, but we really want to we all kind of know that the scams are rampant right now, but there's some very specific scams that are targeted to our community. And I think it's important we really highlight those. And it's so unfortunate, right?
So we have an HOA president's meeting on the 23rd.
Okay.
It would be great if we can just give an update.
Yep. Perfect.
Coming.
Yep.
And I think that would be of great benefit.
Sure. And then I can at least, I might have, if I have it done by then I'm happy to circulate it. If not, I'll at least have a draft form. And so I can give an update. And I'll try to at least have the save the date by then. But I think we have a really good kind of program, and and I think this is probably something that I haven't talked with the chief about, but I think this would be good to do twice a year, whatever. I mean, I'm happy to take time off to kind of do it. So we'll see what we get as far as response this first time, and then we can kind of go from there as far as continuing on.
Okay.
And I think that's all my updates for now. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Jamie.
Yep.
Micah.
Sorry, I had to unmute there. Last week on Thursday, we had our the PAB meeting for CBDG, and we got the results of our ratings for the different projects, and so we were able to look through. If anyone is interested in the projects that were funded, that will be funded as part of that allocation, I'm happy to share with them by email or phone. But we allocated over $2.1 million of CBDG funds for infrastructure projects, public services, and affordable housing. And also just over $3 million for the home program, which also for helping to promote affordable housing. This is always a long process every year. I think, Jamie, you were involved in it one year as well, but it's really rewarding to see at the end how many different projects are able to be funded, and how how much effort really goes into from the staff at Washington County, and also from the different advisory boards. So it was a great process, and it was rewarding to, again, after last year, see it go through to completion, even in this COVID environment. So,
and Micah, keep us posted when I think there was only one project that I saw completed early on, and I was invited to they had a splash of the opening. It was kind of a park in Forest Grove or Forest, whatever. And, but keep us posted if there's any kind of celebration of a completed project from, the grant. Let us know, because it is a really reward, you know, it's very lovely to see.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, a number of these are going to be more long-term.
Yeah.
And last year's, there was a lot of infrastructure that was involved. So can't really celebrate the opening of a water line as much as other projects. I think the last big one that that there was a kind of a grand opening for was the Cornelius Public Library, and that kind of complex there, which is just a really neat building and a really neat example of what these funds can be done, or what they can do with these funds.
Cool.
Okay, that sounds great. And listen, when we have new members, and I'm looking specifically at Kate, we have a tendency to throw out all these acronyms, and nobody knows what these acronyms mean. So don't be shy about asking, what the heck did you just talk about, the CBGC and all this and something else? I don't remember them all, but it would be important, if you don't know exactly what those things stand for, to ask the question, because there are a lot of acronyms. Okay. Micah, was that it?
That's it for me.
Okay, thank you. David.
Get unmuted here.
Yep.
I don't really have anything to add at this point. We've covered a lot of ground tonight, and it's been very interesting. And I'll just let it go at that.
Okay. Well, thank you. That was short and sweet, David. Thank you. Okay. Kate.
First meeting with the Stakeholders Advisory Committee. Can you guys hear me?
We barely.
Okay, hang on. There's something going on here. Can you hear me better now?
Yeah, that's better.
I'm holding the microphone right in front of me.
Okay.
So I had my first meeting with the Stakeholders Advisory Committee, and you heard all about that from Steve. That was a great group to get together with, and it was really, really nice to hear from so many different people with different perspectives. So that happened. We have another one coming up in a couple months, and the Metro Policy Advisory Committee did not meet in January. That meeting was canceled, and so the first one that I'll attend will be next Wednesday.
Okay.
And those are the updates I have. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Kate. Appreciate it. Smart.
Can you hear me?
We got you.
All right. Yeah. Let me see here, my notes. The water board, sorry. The water advisory board met on the 10th of this month. 10th was last week, Wednesday, to discuss like analysis of the cost and services that is provided. And I think Mike, you and Ronnie got that email from Sue regarding what is being done right now. They're discussing analysis to see what is going on in terms of like what has changed ever since Tiger started being owner of the utility versus a renter of the utility, and that's part of what is driving the cost. So mostly operating cost and capital cost is contributing to the need for rate increases, and mostly the firm that was asked to do the analysis came and did a presentation during the meeting. It was led by Doug Gabbard, and he shared with the group some analysis that have been conducted to show the need for the increase. And a few of us did indicate the concern because right now the economy is down, the COVID impact, and now to start talking about any increases will not be something that the community will receive that well, because right now pretty much a lot of people are out of the jobs and people are struggling to make ends meet, and now to talk about increment in services. But when the team put everything together and presented to the group, it shows that the rate might be different for categories of consumers. It will be based on how much one is consuming. It will be based on which area you fall into, either being residential, multi-family home, a commercial, industrial, irrigation or fire. So all of that would determine how play a role in the analysis. And so right now the team is working on that, putting that together, and they'll be making a presentation to the Tigard City Council on the 16th of March, whatever they come up with between now and then. And then April 6th is when they'll do a public hearing for the public to come and listen to what they're able to provide in terms of their the outcome of their analysis to indicate if it's really worth moving forward with, or what the input will be from the community as to what the proposal will be. But right now they're saying it might not be something that will impact the residential area that much. But again, it's all subject to the analysis, the outcome of the analysis. And they're right now kind of projecting about a 2% increase. And the most hit areas will just be the ones that are like impacted by any changes that have been made in terms of like equipment updates, upgrades, mostly like that's like installation of booster pumps that will be installed in some areas. And all of that cost will need to be recouped somehow to keep the utility running, to keep the system running for maintenance purposes. So all of that is being discussed right now. And I think they're keeping us in the loop. Like I said, they're sending emails with information to let us know what the discussions are. The other thing that happened was the recent storm that we just had. It impacted some of the water intake and treatment plants, but luckily for us, we have not been impacted. Excuse me, we have not been impacted that much because the backup generators were used because the power outage impacted the intake location at Gladstone and Westling. They both suffered outages that is still ongoing for some people, but then they were able to use backup generators to continue operating. But then they tested, the utility tested to make sure that we have emergency just in case there's any need for like that to kick in. And they tested that and they were able to confirm that if for any reason there's any shortage of water, the storage is able to provide about 4 million gallons per day to sustain the population until anything until they resolve any problem that might come out of the weather impact that we had. But that tested well. The emergency connection to the emergency inlets worked well, and they were able to make sure that everything works just in case we need it. But for right now, with the weather behind us now, things are getting better. I don't think we need that, but should anything happen, I think they're prepared for that. The other thing I had attended was the Homeowners Association, the Edgewater. Jamie and I were on that call. And I think Joe did a great job with the team. Had the Bluestone Hockley team taking over and holding that meeting. A number of things were discussed. I mean, mainly the positions coming open for the board, about 3 positions. And they also talked about the budget coming from the previous management, the budget that was moved over to the new management team. So a lot of discussions, and I think it was very interesting how everyone, the community was able to participate in the discussions. And I think the team did a great job handling the discussions, and even though a little bit of tension here and there, but at least they did a great job listening to everyone and be able to carry everyone along through the meeting. So great job to Joe and the team. Jamie, I don't know if Jamie has anything else to add. That's all I have.
Mike?
Hey, Smart, next time you go to the water board meeting over there, can you let them know that currently their service map, when our residents try to call over there and report something or find out information, it tells them they're outside the service district because we're not in the city of Tigard city limits. We're technically outside the city of Tigard city limits. And for some reason, our residents, one, aren't getting the information because they're outside of Tigard city limits, and 2, they can't access the information because they are, again, outside the city of Tigard city limits, but inside the city of Tigard's water district. if you will. So if you could maybe bring that up to their staff next time you're at that commission meeting, so that way they're aware that they are basically ostracizing a segment of their constituents. That'd be really great.
Okay, will do. Thank
also,
you.
Mike, that you just reminded me. I called Ernie. Are you still on? I mean, I see you on, but okay. So he might be busy doing official things. I called Washington County non-emergency, and I don't know who is the assigned person to essentially the 911 committee. Is that Shauna or Kate? I can't remember. The Washington County.
It's Shauna.
It's Shauna. Okay.
Shauna and Ernie.
Okay. Well, maybe I'll send an email because I called non-emergency about an emergency in a pseudo emergency in King City, and the 911 operator was unaware that King City had a police department and was going to route the call to Tigard, and I was frustrated. So that would just be a good thing to pass along backwards at the committee to be like, maybe. So anyway, there you go.
Hey, if I can, they have like 8 new people they're training down there right now.
Okay.
Call taking is usually the first thing that they do.
Okay.
I'm glad to pass it along. Was it during like normal working hours? Was it late? What time?
No, it was totally normal working hours, and it was like literally something right in front of the police station. So,
right.
Yeah.
If you remember the exact date and time, I can actually go down there and I can send them a message and say, hey, can you look into this call and push it towards a little training issue.
Okay, I'll take a look. Your comment, Mike, just reminded me of that. So yeah. Okay, thanks.
All right. Going back to SMART, Mike, you remember the email that we got regarding an alert system that says if there was happened to be contamination in the water system. I was under the impression, and I thought I remember that there's an alert system that goes out to the folks who have Tigard water, alerting them that they either need to boil their water or whatever the case may be, that there's something going on. Does that really exist? And was I just thinking something that really doesn't?
That's the same thing. Yeah, exact same thing I was talking about, Mayor. But yeah, you're right. It is the alert system.
Okay. So can we, can you confirm that system is active and that we would be included in that? Because it's the same thing we were just talking about that said that if they think we're outside of the service area, but in reality we are inside because we are part of Tigard Water, I want to make sure that that alert system includes King City if something were to occur.
Okay, well, I'll check on that.
Okay.
And again, they just, I think based on the coverage they have right now, they only reported about 4 cases, and they said just minor issues that we addressed right away, chlorine and some other taste issues. So I'll check on that to make sure we're also being covered for that, taken out.
All right.
Yeah, and I think the other one was somebody was like trying to pay their bill or something like that, and they couldn't get through because it said every time they entered in their address, it said they were outside the service area.
Right.
So, yeah, between the alert system, the payments, it's like they're being excluded essentially. So,
okay,
I'll look into that.
Well, they always take my money when I pay the bill, so
yeah, I got no problem with that.
They don't say you're outside the service area, we won't take your money. They won't do that. Okay, so
I'll take the team. Thank you.
Okay, smart. Thank you so much. Okay, so I'll wrap up. A few things. I'm on the executive committee for the Metropolitan Mayors Consortium. We have been meeting with our legislators during this legislative session, and it's working out really, really well. We have had some really good information. This is so much better than what we were doing. We were getting a team of mayors to go to Salem and wait for the legislators to become available and meet with them for 5 or 10 minutes. And it was always rushed and always kind of helter-skelter. We have now set up specific times, dates to meet with the legislators. We're going to meet with all of the leaders, Peter Courtney, Tina Kotek, and all of the legislators that have specific bills that the MMC feels are important to us as mayors. We have subcommittees for police reform, for homelessness and mental health. And we have meetings now set up to meet with them all specifically on those issues. And it's working out really well. We met with Representative Sanchez last week, who is involved in the mental health and homeless issues. And she represents Northeast Portland and some other outlying areas. But she talked about something that I think is going to be significant as we move forward. She talked about the nationwide 988 number. The 988 number is going to be designed to be the call that you make when there's a mental health crisis. It has been approved nationally, but now Oregon has to pick up the ball and introduce it to the state of Oregon. She's also pushing a bill that is going to try to create funding to duplicate the program that they have in Eugene to specifically deal with the mental health concerns, people out on the street, the homelessness, and to try to take as much out of that, out of the hands of the police to have to do. And I think those programs are going to work wonders for us as we move forward. I just saw that the city of Portland is kicking off a similar program to deal with the homelessness. They're training people right now to do that specific work. So I think we're moving in the right direction, but I really do believe that with this communication that we're having with our legislators is going to pay big dividends as we move forward. I'm particularly excited about some of the things that are going through on police reform and the kinds of things that we know need to change, but we have a voice now. And I'm really, really pleased with us as mayors being able to participate and have those one-on-one conversations with our legislators. Now, I have forwarded some of that information to Mike and Jamie. My question is, do you all want to see it? Because I can forward every time we have a meeting or an upcoming meeting to talk about a specific bill and who the legislator is, who is involved in it. I can forward you guys that information from this point on if you all want to see it. I don't want to just bombard you with unnecessary information, but I think this is something that is educational for all of us. And I think it's going to be of great importance to understand the kinds of things that we're all fighting for and that we're trying to support as we move forward. So just give me a thumbs up if you all are interested in getting that information. Okay, I will make sure that you get it. Also, there is, Mike, this is for you mostly because I got a report out from Jim McCulley, who is the legislative director for the LOC. And he said he is positive that the issue on third-party building inspections will get resolved and that we will be able to continue using third-party building inspectors.
Yeah, we had a meeting late last week with BCDS and a number of third-party groups around the state. And they're going to put in a grandfather clause. And, you know, we're trying to put in a clause that says where once you're grandfathered, your grandfather, right. If we choose to hire our own, you know, building codes department or whatever else, and then later on we find it's not fiscally sustainable, then we should be able to go back to a third party. Right. You know? So we had probably a 2 to 3 hour Teams meeting with BCDS and third-party building code groups around the state, as well as building officials. So I think, I put in some words, Dave Fleming put in some words, Jack Applegate put in a few words, a few people that we've met and sat around tables around the state had plenty to say, but what they're proposing now is much better than what they were proposing, for sure.
Okay. All right. That sounds good. And, I'm encouraged now. I think we're going to be where we need to be. And for all of you to understand that if we were to no longer, if we were not able to use third-party building inspections, then we would have to either hire our own inspectors and department to do it, or we would have to contract with another city who has a big enough staff to be able to do it. It would tremendously impact our ability to flow our building permits and get things done the way we're used to. I have a contract with Claire Services right now, and it's worked beautifully. And we don't want to see that change. But this is a problem for every small city who cannot afford to hire a staff to do building inspections and to do building permits. So this is very important, because it is it's almost impossible for us to be able to hire a staff to do this work. So that's big news. So I will finish with something that I worked on at the beginning of last week. I had a really great conversation with Julie Wilkie-Pilmer, who is the CEO of Ride Connection, because I was very concerned about our seniors being able to get to these locations to get vaccinated. And I would say, yes, it's wonderful that we're going to have 80-year-olds now being vaccinated. Many of them don't drive. Many of them don't have a way of getting to whatever site that is. And it scares me to think that some of them might have to go to a convention center or the Hillsborough Fairgrounds to get vaccinated. But so she guarantees that we are going, Ride Connection is going to provide transportation. They will be able to sign up without any real hassles and getting that transportation that they need, no matter where the vaccinations are going to take place. I understand that Safeway, Walgreens, Costco, and some of the others, I know that people have already been scheduled to get some vaccinations at Safeway right across the street at the King City Safeway. So, but it is important that our seniors have transportation to get it. And I give big kudos to Julie Wilkes-Pilmer for Ride Connection stepping up and saying that they will make sure that they provide rides for our seniors. And I think that's all I have. There's been a lot, but the reality of it is that there's a lot to be done. There's a lot to do. So I think that's all I have. Once again, welcome Joe to the Planning Commission, and thanks to all those who did, in fact, apply. Now we come to the point where we need a motion to adjourn, unless there's something else somebody wants to talk about,
Just a reminder that the budget committee still needs 3 people.
Okay.
I will move to adjourn.
Ooh, you said that so forcefully.
I did, because I have both children who are needing me to do things.
Okay, did we hear a second?
Second.
See, that was even quicker than my motion.
I know, you guys are so anxious. Okay, all right, you guys, thank you. It was a great meeting. Appreciate everything that you guys are doing, and appreciate all the feedback.
Congrats, Joe.
And we're out of here before 9.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's
Thank
cool.
you, Meyer.